Hey everybody, another episode of Vinyl Village Garage, working on 68 Firebird convertible budget build. Don't break the bank, bunch of B words again, I guess. But end result, what we're doing here today, I'm gonna get this floor tied in here. Last episode got the bracing all well done, kind of threw it in here, said I had enough fun. Well, fun's gonna get going here again is, well, I've got to do some manipulating to get this thing to fit in there. So that's what I was talking about. Use some ratchet straps and get this thing put into place. That's going to be the next step. So if you want to see some videos how to put an old rusty relic back together and get it back on the road in a reasonable amount of time and not breaking the bank, check this out. Just in case you haven't been following along too much, this is a one-piece floor pan in a 68 Firebird convertible. What I'm working on doing is getting it installed. Now, I've got it laid in place, but you can see a little daylight between the rocker panel and the floor pan. Well, that gap, well, it's just not supposed to be there. The idea here is I'm going to use a ratchet strap, go around that rocker panel, go around this one, and I'm going to pull this gap together so I can weld it. When you cut that thing out, of course, it pops open and puts some bracing under the car, but I kind of think with the old rusty rocker panels and floor pan, well, it was already starting to deteriorate. Took a measurement, it's about a ½ inch too wide compared to my other two Firebirds, so you about a ¼ inch on this side, and the same on that side. So I plan on shutting that gap with some ratchet straps. Got one here. I'm going to hook it around from that drain hole there, come up over the rocker panel here, and loop it around and tie it into here, and click that thing tight and see if we can't shut this gap up. So that's going to be the next step. Get the ratchet straps out. Alright, well, let's see here our progress. The gap on this side is definitely shutting up. That's only about an 1/8 inch. The light makes it look a little bigger. And then, of course, you know when you get it the proper tension, because you kind of get that cool banjo sound from the ratchet strap. So they're definitely about as tight as I'm going to probably get those for the moment. So I may have to come back with a little, vice grip seat clamp kind of thing here to, shut the rest of the gap. But let's check the other side. Definitely much improved. That was almost a ½ inch gap. Now we're down to about 1/8 of an inch. So I'm pretty sure that'll clamp together. And I'll drop some of my screws in there and get the rest of the thing test fitted and start welding. All right, get you underneath the floor and kind of see what's going on. This is the convertible bracing. I kind of left the, we will call that the autumn bronze overspray from the factory here, because I thought it was kind of a neat touch. That's how it would look from the factory. But this is the original bracing. This is the floor pan. Looking much better than that rusty thing that was in here. But when we look up, the one thing I want to see is, this is the outer rocker panel. Here's the inner that I welded in. And here's our floor pan. The idea is all three of these should be the same height. Well, right now they are, but only got about an 1/8 inch gap. So the rest of that gap can be taken up with a pair of vice grips like this. Drop these things in there, clamp that gap shut, and put some screws through the panels, lock them all together, and then keep working with the clamps take up the rest of that small gap. So once all the screws are in, I can remove these straps that sound really cool right now. But get those out of the way, then we'll start plug welding. Well, I got a few more vice grips on. I got to put some screws in here now where this is all pulled up. Well, you say all the panels are pulled up tight. There's not even a gap now at all, so that's looking really nice between the three parts of this rocker panel: outer, inner, floor pan. And of course, something else, I probably should have got the camera out. What you see here, this is the original frame rail. Now, I needed to pull up tight to the floor pan, but it was about 1/4 inch away. That's probably the difference between 50-year-old metal and new metal. Just need a little massage to get into place. Well, I just couldn't quite get it to motivate, so I drilled a 1/4 inch hole. This is some 1/4-20 all thread, and put a nut on each end, then ran the nut together and pulled that thing up into place, and it pulled up nice and tight. And now my spring mount lines up. This little hole here is what the spring mount actually goes into the floor pan, so it's nice and centered, looking pretty good. So I'd say at this point I can go ahead and put some screws through the frame rail into the floor pan, and then put some screws through my rocker panel here, and keep going down the full length until I'm all screwed together. One of the really cool things about laying down on the job when you're on concrete is, well, it's nice and cold on a hot day. So in this case, this is working out pretty good, but I'm gonna come through now and keep moving these vice grips down and putting some more screws to this floor pan until I get it tied together. Well, I've worked my way up to the front here, dropped the screw every about 2 inches or so. Now what I have hanging down here is that original, I guess you could say, the convertible bracing. There's an additional piece that goes on the floor pan, only found on convertibles. Well, that's kind of the wrong height right now. I need to get it up into place, so this line should be parallel with this line. So I'm thinking something like a little pry bar action here. You can pry that thing up into place and drop a pair of vice grips on it where it needs to be, which is about there. And then I finish going down the whole line here with my screws, and then we can get that thing all screwed into place. Well, I guess I got all the screws there on the bottom. Let's check out this gap in the floor and see what it looks like now. Well, as you can see, no longer a gap whatsoever. Pulled up super tight. So we're going to give that an A+. Actually came out pretty nice. Now, the thing about this is where the floor pan meets the rocker. This just needs hammered over to where it actually makes contact with the inner rocker panel. Same as this ear here. Then your seat base goes over top of that. But this side looking really good. Oh, I guess the one more thing, just for grins and giggles, you can see that my door gap, just as crappy as it was before. I shouldn't really say it's actually not bad, but car's coming together really nice, and actually the door shuts a little bit easier, so I think the old floor was deteriorated enough that it was causing me some grief. But this gap here is a little wider than factory, but that's how it was to begin with. We can actually take the door hinges loose, slide this door back a little bit. It's a nice even gap. We could actually make it look a little better. All right, well, this side pulled up just like the other side there. got just a little bit of daylight right there, but I'm just gonna clamp that shut when I weld it. But I'm gonna say it's gonna be pretty good. And I think even this is changing. Maybe a few notes, maybe higher, just not nearly, or actually lower, just not nearly as tight. So I guess what I'll say at this point, the next thing is I'm gonna hammer these tabs over and get them where they touch the rocker panel so that I can get those screwed into place. And once that's screwed in place, go ahead and install these braces. That ties it to the rocker panel and the dry shaft tunnel. And then once those are in place, I'll go ahead and take these straps off and see how my door gap's looking. But even the driver's side door, get the drill out of the way, it actually shuts a whole lot nicer. Even with the worn out hinges, it actually shuts pretty good. If anything, this gap improved, so it's kind of unusual, but I'm gonna take that as another victory. All right, we'll get the persuasion tool out here and just a few light hits of this. Not your typical body hammer, but a regular body hammer, you be hitting that thing for a while to finally get it to go. This gets it there a little quicker, I guess. And it's not an outside sheet metal piece. It's actually pretty heavy gauge, or a lot heavier gauge steel than normal sheet metal. So I'll do the same to that side, but I'll drop a couple screws through this one here next. And like I said, see, now I can step on the floor and all you hear is my feet bouncing on some nice solid steel. Got it screwed in on that side, screw on this side, and all those who really pay attention to the details, someone forgot to cut a hole in the floor with a torch. So I may actually just use the death wheel or cutoff wheel to actually cut that out now. I meant to do that before I flipped it up in here, but I just got a little tired the other day and just tossed it in here. So next step is go ahead and attach this bracing into the floor, and then I'm going to take these ratchet straps out of the way. Yeah, there you go. All that's all put together with a bunch of screws, and that's a nice tight test fit. Pulled up good to the rocker panel. The next part is on this whole radius here down both sides. If you can recall, that was where the frame rails are at. So I need to, same thing, drop some screws through that, then run a few across the rear panel here. Now I have some patching on the fender well to do, but I'm gonna do that. I actually take the tire off and poke that through that way. So at least at this point though, I have a strong structure between here and the frame rail, which is mounted under here. So now the car is definitely a lot more rigid than it was before. All right, well, you can see I got all the screws here on this side clear across the back, following down the frame rails. I got the brace screwed into place, the brace screwed into the rocker panel. Nice tight clean gap. So I think the next step is go ahead and release the ratchet straps here. See, this car falls apart. I'll start with the little one first. We do this one. Wow. Well, anyway, that car didn't fall in half, so that's pretty good. Well, next step, final step I'm putting this floor pan in is pop all the screws out, drill some holes, do a bunch of plug welds like I showed you earlier, and then I'd say after that's all done, put the seat braces that I've got ordered and then reuse the driver's side one and get that put into place. Put the carpet in that I have brand new shiny black carpet for this car, so that'll help with the smell that we originally had, and the seats do look a lot better and smell a lot better. I let them sit out in the sun for a couple weeks, seem to help a lot. So I guess what I'm going to say here is if you like what you see, hopefully this helps you out in your journey. I said all self-taught. Maybe this will expedite your process and your restoration project you have going in your garage. Maybe you can learn from my mistakes or how I've done this to save you some time, because back when I started doing this stuff, there wasn't any resources. You had the occasional TV show how somebody kind of sorted this at a professional shop, but I do all this stuff in a two-car garage, so I mean, I'm going to say it, you can too. You're gonna have some speed bumps, you're gonna have some obstacles you have to overcome, but that's part of the process and what makes it fun. And when you're done, that much more rewarding. So hopefully you find what I'm doing here informational, educational, or maybe how not to do it, if anything. I guess, like I said, I've just been self-taught, fly by the seat of my pants. It seems to work out pretty good for me so far. So if I can share that information with you, make your journey easier, or if anything, even find this entertaining, or what the hell is this crazy guy going to do in the garage next? I don't know. We'll just kind of grab whatever challenge you can, jump in, and see how it goes. So like I said, most of the time it turns out pretty good. But I guess we'll say we can share successes and our failures on this channel. That's kind of the plan. But I'm going to finish doing all this welding. I'm not going to drag you along for that. It's probably 3 to 4 hours worth of, and that's not a whole lot of fun to watch. But I'll show you the final product when it's all done. And I'm super happy with the results. It's going to make a really nice car. Now the outside, it shows some age, but the bones of the car, it's going to be pretty solid to get a lot of good life out of this thing and put a lot of smiles on your face while driving it. So I got a few more things to wrap up. Get the under the hood stuff to finish up, get the water pump that sounds like garbage taken care of, and get the power top to go and work again. That's going to be a pretty simple fix. I think 1 cylinder and bleed it out. It's going to be pretty awesome to have that working. So getting close to the end. The floor pan structure is probably the biggest part of this project, and well, that's coming to a close, so that's kind of building some excitement. And I have another project lined up that I might be going to get, so I won't share too many secrets on that one yet, but some of you might know, but don't tell anybody. So I want to say I'll do a bunch of welding. I'm not going to drag you along. I'm going to say the next step is going to be maybe putting this interior back in, so I'll get you back in for that and get you up to speed with all the welding. But I'm going to call it quits tonight. It's getting kind of late. I'm a little tired, and I'm going to do some welding later on today or tomorrow. Well, I guess maybe not today, but tomorrow. And of course, I got a car show I might go check out too. Can't help it. I love the cars. So I'll drag the kids along for this one. But anyway, I've rambled on enough. Appreciate you following it. You like these kind of projects or building cars or whatever the heck I might get into in the garage? Please subscribe. Share it with your friends. I like to make this YouTube thing work too. It's kind of a, I guess you say, an add-on puzzle or add-on fun thing for me that adds to the challenge, you could say. But I enjoy it. I hope that you find some information here that's useful and share it with your friends. And then I'm going to get the heck out of here. And we'll see you next time.